Ever feel like no matter how much you sleep, you're still dragging? Or like your body is off, but your labs keep coming back normal? In today's episode, I'm joined by my friend Amanda Walstrom, a former combat pilot turned wellness entrepreneur and homeschooling mama. She's walked through her own hormone and health challenges, and now she helps other women do the same without losing themselves in the process. We're talking about what's really going on with hormone imbalance, inflammation, thyroid struggles, and why so many women feel stuck trying to get answers. If you've been told everything looks fine, but you still don't feel like yourself, this conversation is totally going to hit home. Still trusting a system that profits from your sickness? Faith Over Pharma is here to flip the script and help you heal the way God designed. If your hormones feel all over the place, if you're tired, bloated, moody, or just not feeling like yourself, phototherapy might be the thing no one's told you about yet. It's a drug-free, science-backed way to support your body's natural hormone balance using light. Yes, light. I've seen it make a huge difference for myself and for so many women that I work with. You want to see if it could help you too? Head over to susangladstein.com/phototherapy to learn more and schedule your free consult. I'm so excited to have my friend Amanda on the show today. We actually were serving in the military together in the Air National Guard, and it's been really incredible just to watch her journey unfold over the last few years. She's gone from flying combat missions around the world to building this wellness-focused lifestyle that supports her family, her health, and so many other women who are walking through similar struggles. We've reconnected over the years as homeschooling moms and wellness entrepreneurs. And what I really admire about Amanda is how deeply she's leaned into holistic health, especially after facing her own battles with fatigue, hormone imbalances, and burnout, which we can all sort of relate to. Am I right? And today she's going to share what really helped her truly heal and not just pushing through. And I know so many of you are going to see pieces of your own story in here. So, Amanda, can you take us back to what life looked like before all of this sort of shifted for you? What was going on in your world and what ultimately led you down the path that you're on now?
Yeah, thank you so much, Susan, for having me on. I was tired, and I probably can't say the word tired enough. I was chasing different hormone replacement therapies, testosterone pellets, doing a lot of different thyroid medications, going from some pharmaceuticals to the more natural ones, losing my hair. I couldn't ask my husband to clean out the drain out of the shower probably enough. It was gross. Very, very, very low libido, just zero energy. And no matter how many calories I cut or different diets that I tried, I just couldn't lose weight, but also build muscle. And that was because I had when I got it tested, the testosterone of like an 80-year-old woman. It was in the low single digits, right? And so the weight was a huge issue. And the biggest thing mentally was I felt like if you would break me up into like little pieces, I was kind of scattered everywhere, but not present in any one thing. And so that was just a lot of like brain fog and stress. You combine those together, and I just was kind of scattered all over the place.
And then what happened? Tell me what happened. Like,
Or I
I
was
know things have changed for you, but what happened?
Yeah. So, you know what changed everything? It actually wasn't even my story. My husband had a surgery that led him to have some nerve damage. And we were researching how can we holistically repair that because I didn't realize. I just thought that that's what you do. You get on thyroid medication, you do all these things, and this is your only option. But as we were researching holistic ways to regenerate his nerves, and the technology, it's called the LifeWave patches that we started using for him. When I started to really read about what they all do, I said, well, I want that, right? I want the balancing. I want my stem cells to start to regenerate and reactivate because that's what's going to heal and ultimately balance my hormones. And I wanted the energy that I talked about and the vitality. And so we purchased these patches. It was September 1st of 2023 when they arrived at our door. And I started off with what's called X39 and SP6 and Alavita. And Alavita is a patch for like your face and hormones. SP6 is really hormones, and X39 is just stem cells. So it's full body, whatever you need, it kicks your body in gear to heal itself. And so I start off with those. And a week goes by and I didn't notice anything. And literally on the seventh day, I woke up and I was like, oh, kids, watch out because mama's back. It was incredible. The energy that I felt, the brain fog, it was like I was literally waking up to a whole new life. And from then, that just really continued. And at this point, I did not change my workouts. I didn't change my diet. I was still on the same thyroid medication, still doing the hormone replacement therapy. This is the only thing that was changed. And then moving into a month. So I started myself, and I don't recommend everybody does this, but I just kind of started ticking down the thyroid medication. And I went every third day and I didn't notice a change. Every fourth day, did notice a change. And all of a sudden, I was like, I just quit it cold turkey. And I didn't notice any difference in my hair, my fatigue, balance, anything like that. And then when I was about a month in, my skin totally changed, very bright. I was started to get a little bit of a red cheeks. That completely went away. Stress lines started to lift. Hair stopped falling out. And one of the big things that I've actually never really shared before was I didn't get periods. I was, when I had my daughter, I was 37. I had my son at 40. And after my daughter, I didn't get a period back. Nothing. And we were actually concerned whether I'd be able to have my son or not, but I did. And then after my son too, I again, it didn't initial right after you have birth a little bit, nothing like the doctors expected, and then it completely went away. And it was about the third month on the patches where I started to get a period back. And it was like a 7-dayer with cramps. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in high school again. And this really stinks. I don't want this. Because even though I know I'm supposed to have one, it didn't feel great. Like it was kind of nice not having it. Well, you go another month or two, and then all of a sudden it tapers back. It's a nice, gentle 3 days, fully done. Like I can literally just use like thin pads. I don't know if that's TMI or not, but zero cramps. It was just like this nice little hello, I'm just checking in to show you you're super healthy and where you should be. And that was it. So that's another amazing change that happened. And then the weight loss, and then the muscle kicked in. And it was something that I'd never expected before. So I lose weight by walking. I'll walk like 5 miles a day. And I did that to lose weight after my daughter. And I got down to what I felt was really a nice size for me. But it took eating hardly any food. I was in such a calorie deficit. And I had to walk 5 miles every single day. From these patches, I started walking again and my body composition changed. And once I stopped focusing on what the scale said and just started focusing on muscle definition, what do I physically look like? How do I physically feel? I noticed that my body is in balance and it is working like it's supposed to, because all of a sudden I have calf muscles that like bulge out. You can see, and everywhere, even just my triceps, like from walking and just doing different things, my body composition changed drastically. And it's really continued on from lifting weights.
I love that because I too started the patches, and one of the things that even my kids were noticing that my face was just sort of glowing, and I felt like in photographs and even in the mirror that my eyes were just brighter, and people would comment to me about that, and it's like, oh, they could chalk it up to being just pregnancy, but I was like, this is not that because I've been pregnant 3 other times and didn't have this.
Yeah, it's a different glow. It really is when we're just when your body is back in balance, exactly how God designed it to be, and your hormones are how they should be, and the different antioxidants and amino acids and peptides that your body's naturally producing is doing it at an optimal level that affects everything from the inside out. So it's like called a patch glow. It's really incredible.
And I will say that I was a bit of a skeptic, and I know that you and I are in the same boat that we will go and research stuff and geek out on all the science stuff. So I know somebody is listening to this like, oh, okay, I don't even know what you're talking about, but all of that sounds amazing. Can you explain to us a little bit about how the patches work and just kind of how that's because I know you've gone down the rabbit hole and
Yeah.
all the science.
Yeah, absolutely. So the most plain terms that I love to share with people is it's phototherapy. So when I say that word, you might say like, I don't really know what that is, but you use it every single day already. It's a God-given gift to us, and it's called the sunlight. So when you go outside and the sun, everybody knows that the sun makes my body elevate my own human vitamin D, but it does that via frequency. So the sun is shining its ultraviolet ray down on you, and it signals your skin, which signals to tell your brain to say, hey, elevate more vitamin D. And I know how to do that because of the frequency communication between the sun and my skin. So the patch works the exact same way, but instead of using the sun as a source of light, it uses your own body's heat, light that you emit. And what that means is we are 98.6 degrees approximately, but that heat is actually a low level infrared light that we emit. So that's why, Susan, right, in the military, we can throw on these night vision goggles and we're going to see each other glow and such. We're not seeing the heat. It's actually that low level infrared light. So just picture the patch as almost like a mirror, right? So you have the patch on and your body's emitting that low level infrared light. And all it does is it mirrors it back. It sends it back into your body as a specific frequency that signals your body to elevate specific peptides, exactly like the sun does. It's frequency that's just talking to your body. It's like a set of instructions that says, hey, body, do what you're designed to do.
Yes. And I personally love that there's not anything that's going into your body. And what I found personally was in researching a lot of this stuff, obviously in my world, supplements are a huge thing that everybody is wanting to know about what to take. And even just looking at clinical studies and data, for example, on the glutathione, which is an amazing antioxidant, but like you could supplement that for 30 days. And depending on your dosage, you may only see an increase in 7 to 30%, whereas clinical studies done with the patches, within 24 hours, they saw a 300% increase naturally. So, like for me, as I'm helping people heal their bodies, I really want to focus on the most natural way to do that. And this has been like amazing technology for sure. But I know that chronic inflammation is a huge issue. What have you seen or experienced for yourself in that area?
Yeah. When I had talked about previously, not focusing on the scale, but looking in the mirror and what does my body look like? How do I feel? What I noticed the most first, it wasn't weight that was dropping off. It was literally the inflammation. And I can always tell that by my rings. If I can slip my wedding rings off, I'm in a low inflammation day. Most of the time, that was never the case. I mean, get out the dish soap to try and get my rings off. And so when I started wearing the patches and continued the walking, it was really the inflammation that decreased the most. And so I can tell that from how I physically looked, but also how my joints felt. From when I was little, I always had knee pain. And from a certain age, they would call it growing pains. But once you hit your 30s, you're not growing anymore. At least I'm not getting taller, right? And so, but I always still had the same knee pains, literally to the point where sometimes I couldn't even bend my knee enough to get into a bathtub. They were that terrible. Hip pains, just from, I'm double jointed. So I should have been a gymnast. I got loosey-goosey joints. And after a while, that really creates a lot of pain. And so I can literally like shift my hips like in and out. It's weird. But I noticed they really stopped the inflammation that decreased. So I would say initially my weight loss is attributed really to inflammation loss.
Yes, and I see that a lot too, like even just in my previous world of metabolism and weight loss and health coaching, that a lot of times people will see a dramatic weight loss quickly, and it's usually just inflammation if they've changed their diet or reduced their stress and cortisol levels and all of those things. But what do you wish that more people knew about natural hormone support and tools like phototherapy?
I love this question because I wish that people would go outside and just look around and see what God gave us in nature and know that that is there for a specific reason. And we are designed to live within nature. And so once you can start to realize God's greatest gifts to us, and then when you hear about things like phototherapy, like going out and grounding, right? Walking in bare feet and other kinds of natural modalities, you're not going to wrinkle your nose up them as much because it's going to completely make sense that, well, yeah, that makes sense because God gave us that. This is how our body's designed. I mean, our first, right, sperm meets egg and there's a spark, so of light. So when you're talking about phototherapy and healing, where you're like, well, that makes sense because I'm made of light. I emit light. God gave us light. And so I just wish that, and I pray that as people are learning more about these holistic modalities like light frequency, sound frequency, all of that is knowing that those are things in nature that God gave us from the very beginning to heal. And so when someone comes across something like that, it's just a little bit of a mind shift that that is probably the best form of healing because it's natural and it's how our bodies are designed. So take a look. Even if you're skeptical, it's okay to be skeptical because probably everybody is initially, but just take a look and give it a try because it really is life changing.
I think that part of it is it's so simple that a lot of times we, especially in the Western medicine world, it's like we're just given a prescription or, throw this to fix this symptom, but then it ends up causing all these other symptoms. But it's kind of just like, I don't know. When I started going down the rabbit hole of natural things, which, by the way, I was never asked by a doctor when I had chronic migraines how much water I drank. And yet, like 86% of your body's neurological functions require proper hydration to
Yeah.
work efficiently. But when, it's one of those things where it's like we don't question pharmaceuticals, even though advertisements that are on TV will go through a whole list of these awful things that are known to. It always gets me because you have these really happy people that are like, dancing and singing or whatever. And it's like, if you have diarrhea or whatever, like it's all part of the process of having the,
It's normal.
yeah. So we're supposed to be just accepting all of these things, but then like you introduce something that will heal your body naturally. And people are like, well, I need more information. How does that work? That can't possibly be right. And as I went through the process, I realized like God didn't make a mistake when he created our bodies. And I don't think that the world doesn't already have what we need. We've just kind of gone in and mucked it up. Obviously, the food we eat is not the greatest quality. The water supply is not great. There's stuff in our air and chemicals and pesticides and all of these things that are affecting our hormone levels, our ability to get good sleep because now we've got electronics and all of these things like the world is attacking us, like more or less. And you
Yeah.
can get really caught up and upset and, try to live in this bubble, which my husband tries to do, and it's not really working out. But like, what can we do to support things naturally? And that's what I love about it. But it seems so simple. It's kind of like in the Bible when the blind man was healed and everybody wanted to know, how are you healed? How are you healed? And he's like, I don't know. I was blind, but now I see. And I kind of feel like these patches are in the same boat as that. It's like you don't have to know how it works, but the body knows how to heal itself, and you're giving it the tools that it needs to do that. But it seems so simple.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so when somebody takes a supplement, they're not knowing, okay, well, so this supplement is going to my stomach and it's being broken down this way, and part of it's being eaten up by acid. And then, so I'm actually only getting this percentage of it, and I'm okay with that. Nobody researches that, and not even me, right? You read the thing, this is what I wanted to do, bam, because that's normal. We're used to taking a pill. We're used to, people are even more open to just getting a shot. But that's what's so great about phototherapy is it's a sticker. You literally put it on and your body does all the work. There, it's non-transdermal, so absolutely nothing goes in it to your body, which means there's no contraindication. So if you're on this supplement or you're getting this injectable peptide or this pharmaceutical, it's only elevating what already exists inside of your body that your body needs to heal, repair, and regenerate itself. And so I always tell people, I'm like, it doesn't get any more simple than wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, and put a sticker on. It really doesn't matter where you put it. It doesn't have to be where anybody can see it. It can be below your clothing because that's using your own light. You can stick it on your forehead if you want to. Like it doesn't matter. So simplicity is key, especially when you're a busy mom, when you're homeschooling, and when you're trying to just feel better and you don't have all this energy yet. I have, and I promised myself I won't do this anymore, but I have spent thousands and thousands on supplements that sit in the pantry that one or two are taking out of it because I'm not going to take 10 pills a day. And then they're compounding on each other. And you're like, is this really okay? Like, how do they work with each other? Because I'm still putting something in my body that it doesn't fully recognize.
Well, and even I will look at labs. Obviously, I'm looking at them a lot differently than a doctor would because they're looking at a measurement. And typically, it's like within a normal range, and normal ranges are based off of the population as a whole. And a lot of times, those normal ranges are antiquated or they've lowered them from what they used to be. Like, for example, testosterone for men, those levels in the 90s, what's considered normal now, like in the 80s, were like, hey, you need some help because it's too low. But now it's considered that's normal. And so people are walking around with low testosterone in the normal range, feeling like junk and they're tired and whatever. But they're like, nope, everything's normal. So when I look at labs from an optimal level, from a holistic perspective, a lot of times I will see that people are not absorbing the supplements that they're taking. So they're taking a lot of stuff and it's probably very expensive, but their body is not utilizing them. So I think it's so important to realize that, yeah, you can throw supplements at things, which obviously you can't out supplement a poor diet or lifestyle. Like you
Yeah.
have to have a good foundation in place. But what I love about the patches, even more so than, I mean, for a lot of my clients, I'm not even really recommending a lot of supplements. And if I do, it's always from a very strategic perspective after looking at labs and understanding nutritionally and like what are you doing movement wise and very specific on what they need to do. But if there's somebody that's like listening to this and they're exhausted, they're inflamed, and they're confused by all their symptoms, maybe their doctors told them that everything's normal, but then they feel like junk and they've just accepted that that's their normal reality. What would you say to that person who's listening right now?
I would say try the patches. Absolutely try them because I felt all of those things. And when I was going to my doctor for the testosterone pellets, I was getting dosages above 250. That is more than like the biggest man bodybuilder should ever get. And I was growing a beard. But I still had all the same symptoms of low testosterone, even though my testosterone was way too high at that point. And never once was I asked, what else are you doing? Are you moving? Are you building muscle? Because muscle is going to help out with this. What are you eating? How's your diet? Because they're not trained in that. And so, what I just tell people is the patches really taught me to take control, research, and get answers for how exactly is our body really designed to work, to function, to heal. And once you kind of deep dive into that, number one is you're never going to want to stop diving because it is so incredible and you feel so empowered because you know exactly how to help yourself be optimal. So even if you're a little bit wondering, like, what are these patches? They keep saying stickers. What is that? Give it a try because what it's going to do for Susan or me or you is very different because it's all about your own peptide. It's your own stem cells. It's your own antioxidant that's going to be elevated, and your body knows exactly what it needs to do. And if that it means balancing hormones, it's going to be that. If that means that you're in your 60s and your hot flashes are so terrible, AC is freezing, then you turn the heat on, this is going to be great for that as well. So give them a try, work out, clean up your diet, and just simply go for walks. Susan, you taught me this. One 10-minute walk after you eat supper has been such a game changer from helping my body go from a sugar burner to a fat burner. One 10-minute walk. It doesn't get any simpler than that.
Yeah, I think sometimes we want the hard stuff where we think that that's what's going to move the needle the most. And in reality, it's the simple things. It's getting good sleep. And I know for a lot of people, especially for me, I always struggled with sleep. And part of it was because I was constantly on that blood sugar roller coaster. So I was, drinking Dr. Pepper first thing in the morning. And by the afternoon, I was crashing and needed a nap. And so I was reaching for more caffeine. And then when it came bedtime, I was like exhausted. I was tired, but wired. And so I was like reaching for, sleep aids to help me get sleep. And even then it wasn't great. And I was waking up tired. And it was just like constantly
Cycle.
felt like I was in this like reactive mode, like battling it out, always exhausted. And of course, my kids got the worst of me at the end of the day because they got whatever fumes was left over at the end of the day. And I kind of had just accepted that that's just how life was. And it was not really like, I don't feel now that I know what good feels like. I'm on this mission, and I know you are too, to help women be the best versions of themselves for the people that they love most, because like that's not how God intended our lives to be. And it's like that you have so many things that are demanding your attention, so many distractions, and we think we've got to go, all out on all of the things. In reality, it's just the small things. And even something as simple as just putting on a sticker every day. Like I've had people that I've asked them to try it and they're like, "Oh, I haven't, tried that." And I'm thinking like, you were tired, you were exhausted. Like, if you would just do what I said, you would feel so much better. Because people will say that, like, your baby was crying. My best friend was visiting recently, and she was like, and the baby's going through a developmental leap, so he was way more crying than he would normally be. But she was like, "You just stayed cool and calm, like it didn't phase you at all. That's just who you are." And I'm thinking, like, no, it's not. Like, I have a lot of help, and like I
Yes.
was not ever that person. I was the yelling mom. I was the stress mom. Like, and of course, when you're trying to like get out of the house and you're all running late and you're exhausted and you probably didn't eat breakfast, and like, why are the kids moving so slow right now? Like, why are they in slow motion? And I would lose my cool. And now it's like I have something that's helped me lower that stress. I've lowered that inflammation to where I can think more clearly and be more fun. And that's not to say I don't, feel stressed ever, but it's a whole different ball game now that I've started using the patches.
Well, absolutely. And just when you feel good yourself, you have good to give, right? If you're internally struggling, it's struggling is what you're giving out. And so, especially as being a mom and the kids, and then you're constantly like, oh, I'm such a jerk. Why did I react like that? Why did I say that? Well, because that's what I'm feeling inside, And so, just when you're balancing and your hormones are there and you have energy and you just feel this internal calmness, but yet excitement and happiness. When I talk to a lot of women about what they're going through, and they say, "Well, I feel pretty good." I'm like, pretty good is not good enough. Like, if you're not telling me, I feel great, I feel fantastic, like, I've got energy, like, I need to get out and go do something. That's where we should actually be. That's how God wants us to be. So I think there is so many easy modalities. And like you said, all the times we think it has to be hard. You have to go and spend 3 hours at the gym to have a certain thing. You can only eat these three sets of foods. We always are going a lot of times looking at the extreme for things when sometimes it's just the small, really simple changes that are right in front of us that if we just do that, it's the biggest game changer that we could ever have.
Yes. And obviously like for me, stress is always like the number one thing that I see with clients. And once we sort of remove that, um I mean, obviously, stress for anybody, that's a huge game changer to lower your cortisol because that is intertwined with every one of your other hormones. So if one is out of whack, the others have to like go and work harder and in different ways. And so really balancing that out, but taking sort of the stress component, lowering that, balancing that, everything else kind of falls into place. It's amazing to be able to feel that way for sure. But if somebody wanted to find you, how do they find you? If they want to connect with you, they have questions, they want to know about what you have going on, because I know that you have an amazing business around the patches and all the things. So how does somebody find you?
On Facebook, just that's my I don't know URL that goes along with Facebook too. It's just my full name. So Amanda Rose Walstrom too. And I would love to ask or answer anybody's questions that they have on it and just do like a quick call for anyone. So you can ask specifically, this is what I have going on, this is what I want. How can these help me? And then we have great resources, as you know, as well, for people to check out and to learn more.
I love that. And I'll make sure that that's all in the show notes so people can connect with you. But before we jump off here, is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't talked about, that the woman who is just like on the struggle bus to think about adding just even one more thing is like, forget about it? Like, what do you want to tell her?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Just take action and adjust later if it's not right. And by take action, I mean take control of what you have going on because God gave you your body. He didn't give it to your doctor or your practitioner or anyone else. It's yours, and they're never going to know how you feel as well as you do, right? And so once you kind of start to research a little bit of natural modalities and how they work with your body and how important they are, you're going to find that, oh gosh, I've been doing this and that was my roadblock. If I just tweaked it this little way, I could be doing this. So, number one is start to take control and responsibility for your own health. Right? Listen to podcasts such like this because you're going to learn so many little tidbits. I mean, literally every single podcast, I learn something and I actually implement it. So listen to Susan. She knows what she's talking about. My husband always says, "Oh, you're doing that. Is that because Susan told you?" Probably yes. That's the answer. It's kind of the running joke in our house. So take control, responsibility for your own health, and try phototherapy patches because it really is going to be a way of healing that people, when you wear it now, they're going to say, well, what is that? I've never heard of that. The rate that we're growing and the amount of people and the miracles and the lives that are even changing, it's just going to be common practice to wear it. So don't wait until then. Be at the forefront, be a life changer, a world changer, and wear it now because when you start wearing it, then you know people that also are feeling like you, and now you can change their lives as well.
That's great advice. I think for me, it kind of was like I got sick and tired of feeling sick and tired.
Mhm.
And it was enough for me to move into, like you said, action, but just accepting things as status quo, like, yeah, I'm never meant to feel any different than this. This is just life. This is the cards I was dealt. All of that stuff is just, I think it's from the devil because the devil
Yeah.
wants to put in doubt and fear, and he doesn't want you to be the best to like go and share the love and light to other people, because if you're just dim and dark, like the devil wins. So in this case, don't let the devil win because you have a specific purpose, whether it's just, I mean, not, I'm not gonna say just, but like being a mom to your kids, like no one else can do that job. No one. And I know for me, that was a huge motivator for me to get healthy. And the benefits that I saw from that in my kids' lives and how it changed. I mean, obviously, I have older kids, and seeing how going through this process to where now my 4-year-old and now my baby are like, they don't know any different. They only know the mom that's
Right.
fun and takes wild trips just randomly and does all this epic stuff that I never had the energy to do before, that seems so far-fetched and so like, oh, that must be nice. I mean, even when I was like in the depths of my Dr. Pepper addiction, like I would hear people say like, oh, I never drink soda, I just drink water. Like I couldn't even imagine a life like that. Like I could not even,
Mhm.
like, how do you get through the day? Like I can't even imagine. Like it was so
Yeah.
foreign to me, and I was severely dehydrated back in those days and had lots of brain fog and all of the things. So I couldn't even imagine that life. And so it did take a lot of peeling back the layers and implementing one thing at a time, taking one step, like you said, listening to podcasts. I did a lot of reading back in the day, and I didn't really listen to podcasts until I started my own. But you're so right.
The last thing that I would really like everyone to know is that when you make changes, it's generational changes because you're going to start to feel great. You're going to change your lifestyle and eat healthy and move. And then your kids see those same things too. And then that generation, it's just going to be normal for them. They're not going to just take what everybody says as, well, this is the status quo. There is no other option. This is how I have to feel. They're going to know to question things. They're going to know how to take control of their own health. And so you're really at this point, you have an opportunity to be a chain breaker for health and how your family grows up, and then what their family and their kids and so on do. So we always say, your kids are watching everything. They absolutely are. My kids now know I don't want to take a bite of that donut because that's just chemicals. That's just poison to me. They know that you wake up in the morning, you go out and you look at the morning sun without sunglasses on, you get in your superhero pose and you're grateful. You say what you're grateful for. You say the abundance that you want to happen today. And those are just things that it's not a question. It's just like I don't drink coffee. I'm one of these that only drinks water. But just like people have their morning routine, that's part of it. And so when you incorporate holistic modalities, questioning, and really just taking control of your health because God gave you this body as a gift, the generations to follow will do that as well.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Thank you so much for taking time to share. I'll make sure that everybody has the way to connect with you. And I appreciate you just being love and light because the world needs more of that.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you too. So thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Thanks for hanging out with me on this episode of Faith Over Pharma. If something stirred in you today, share this with a friend who's ready to stop outsourcing their health and start healing the way God designed. And if you're ready to stop chasing symptoms and start healing at the root, head over to faithoverpharma.org to grab tools, join the movement, or book a free call. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative, protecting your peace, and walking in the truth that your body was made to heal.